It's an Overreaction Tuesday on this Locked On Nationals podcast, and today is DJ Herz in trouble heading into the regular season, and may he not be in the starting rotation entering 2025. Is that an overreaction?
You are Locked On Nationals, your daily Washington Nationals podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And thank you all for making Locked On Nationals your first listen every single day, as we are free and available wherever you get your podcasts. And of course, I'm your host, Ryan Clary. You can catch me over on Twitter at RyanClary11 and as well as our show page at LO_Nationals. For all your latest Nationals news and notes, make sure to check us out over on Twitter. And of course, search up Locked On Nationals wherever you get your podcast, whether it's on Apple, Spotify, and of course, the video version of this said podcast. You can check us out over on YouTube. Look up Locked On Nationals and hit that subscriber button, please. Later on in today's show, we'll be discussing the off day today for the Washington Nationals. What does that look like? And of course, tomorrow's game against the Houston Astros. We'll have that discussion for you because Trevor Williams is on the bump yet again for the Washington Nationals. And the second segment, we're kind of going to go into the starting rotation because I'm not sure if people are really aware of what's going on, but this starting rotation right now is in a very good spot, and they have a really good dilemma at this point. Who is going to be in that fifth starter spot on opening day? We'll discuss that in the second segment. A couple times we've tackled this so far, but as of right now, it is probably the biggest spring trading headline as we inch closer to the regular season here. So we'll have that discussion for you later on, but it is a Overreaction Tuesday, something that we have been trying here as of recent with spring training. So we'll see how it goes. But my first overreaction that I want to get into is DJ Herz might be in trouble. And the reason why I say that is because later on, we're going to get into a kind of a deeper discussion of it. But as we sit here today, DJ Herz is in a starter competition right now with Mitchell Parker and Shin Ogasawara. This fifth starter spot is not like in lock for DJ Herz. Even coming off of last season, in which, in my opinion, the second half of this year, he was the Nationals' best starting pitcher. DJ Herz, in my opinion, sitting here today, has the second best stuff behind Mackenzie Gore. That is where I have DJ Herz at this point in time. So, with so far in spring training, you have seen not really the best version of DJ Herz. And this is also something that we have seen over the years with DJ Herz. We have known about this when it comes to DJ Herz. If you look at like the usage of some of the pitches from this past season, he throws a wildly good, wicked good changeup, in fact. But also, if you just look at the overall numbers, he's got a pretty good pitch mix. 3 pitches that he uses relatively consistently. His four-seam fastball, which right around 94 miles per hour that he used around 55% of the time. His really nasty changeup that he threw about 25% of the time, which I expect him to use more as we get into 2025. And also a slider that kind of came on at the end of the season. But right now, DJ Herz, in the way that he has looked, the concerns of the prospect of DJ Herz is kind of starting to come out a little bit. He's all over the place. He's walking a lot of guys. And the command just simply is not there. And you saw that this past season. But also the part that we did not see was the times that he really struggled down in AAA. And this has not been just a recent issue with DJ Herz. This has struck him throughout his career. Everyone has talked about his nasty stuff. The fastball that he can generate swings and misses on, the disgusting changeup. Some people are even saying that his changeup was the best pitch in the minor leagues at one point in 2023 when the Nationals first traded for him. This guy is a real, legit prospect. Now, he's no longer a prospect. He's graduated at this point, but he's still young. He's 24 years old. And if you look at his big time numbers from this past season, his expected ERA is in the 81st percentile. Expected batting average, 86th percentile. His whiff percentage in the 78th percentile. His strikeout percentage in the 81st percentile. Hard hit percentage, 81st percentile. This guy is a legit, really, really good talent. But the concerns are also there, in which we have already seen. It's again like this snowball that just keeps on going downhill and builds up and builds up. It's the lack of command when it comes to DJ Herz. From this past season, what he did best was generate swings and misses. That was no kind of secret here. But as of right now, DJ Herz, while he is getting those, his command is also everywhere at this point. Even with his fastball, his changeup, and his slider, it has not been clicking up to this point in spring training. While the results are a little bit better than what they show on paper, I have seen a lot of weak contact from him, but there also have been some hard contact mixed in there for DJ Herz. But unfortunately, we haven't been able to see all of his starts on TV here. But DJ today, like, he's in it, man. We're going to kind of get into more of this later on in today's show of if he should be the Nationals' fifth starter. But it's really between, up to this point, a few different guys and one guy that you saw this past season, and one new guy who we're going to be talking about just now for my second overreaction of the Overreaction Tuesday here on Locked On Nationals. And my number 2 overreaction, and this really might not be an overreaction, is that Shin Ogasawara, he might not sniff the MLB this year. And that's a kind of a harsh, brutal take, some would say. But as of right now, what I have seen from Ogasawara is not really all that encouraging, if I'm being honest with you. I understand why the Nationals went after him. This guy has been an all-star overseas in Asia there, and he is a good talent. Like, this is someone that you would like to see kind of sprout and grow into something bigger. But he just has not been looking the part up to this point. Now, with that in mind, you do have to keep this. This is the first time he's been going on a 5-day pitching schedule. Over in Japan, where he was playing over the last few seasons and was an all-star, where he was born and raised, like, this is a different scenario for him. You are used to pitching just once a week, once every 7 days. Getting on that 5-day clock, it is a big change for a lot of different guys. And so you have Shin, who's coming over here doing the best work that he can in a pretty limited time. But then you look at the results and you're like, what is going on? Because right now he's got 4 starts under his belt. He's got 8 in the 3rd innings pitched, and he has looked pretty good at times, I will say. But right now, it just has not clicked. Like, for instance, in yesterday's game, he had 3 2/3 innings pitched. He had 3 earned runs overall, 5 runs in total. He walked 3 batters, gave up 7 hits in 3 2/3 innings pitched, and it just has not looked all too great up to this point. I think right now, if you think that Shin is a starter, I think you're probably wrong. He might be a bullpen piece, but even that, he has been tattooed so far in spring training. And it's a little unfair because it is spring training. You saw this from last year, which I'm blanking on the big name from the Dodgers, but Yamamoto. He got tattooed in his first spring training, and everyone was like, oh my God, this guy is going to be in trouble. He was not. He's a very good pitcher. But where the Nationals are today, like, they make their first signing from Japan, and everyone is very happy about this because this is what we have wanted forever. And it just has not really worked out to the Nationals' favor up to this point. Before we get into this, though, I do want to acknowledge the Nationals and their defense because, in my opinion, this has been one of the bigger stories of spring training so far. And this is kind of typical when you kind of talk about spring training, like it's going to take a while for guys to adjust. It's going to take a while for guys to get back in the routine and do what they're supposed to do and play good defense. But so far, I saw this the other day. The Nationals defense has been putrid to start the year. Awful. And this is something where I actually thought their defense would be pretty good this year, considering you got a new first baseman, you got, a Gold Glove caliber center fielder, in my opinion, a Gold Glove caliber right fielder with Dylan Cruz at this point, Luis Garcia Jr., who was an above average second baseman last year. I think CJ Abrams will even be a better shortstop this year than what he was this past season. But right now, this team has I think it was 15 unearned runs from the past few games. I mean, it is unbelievable how disgusting this defense is up to this point. So that is something, as spring training goes on, you're going to have to monitor, and we're going to have to monitor, because this is ugly. And we have seen it in 2022. When you have terrible defense, it affects your pitching staff. The Nationals heading into 2023, they wanted to get better defensively, and they did. And you saw the pitchers also be a little bit better there. To have that confidence in your field, it's a big deal. And pitchers, they're going to need that as we kind of head into spring training and as we head into the offseason, or the regular season here for your Washington Nationals. But thank you all for making Locked On Nats your first listen every single day, as we are free and available wherever you get your podcast. Next, let's get into this. The fifth starter competition. Who is it going to be? We'll discuss that after we tell you about our good friends over at Supply House. And of course, I have told you guys all about Supply House, and you can get the supplies that you need from the site made for the skilled trades, Supply House. Whether you're in plumbing, HVAC, or electrical work, Supply House is a reliable way to order products online, and their easy-to-use website is packed with helpful resources and the latest product info to help you get the job done right. Plus, with a complete inventory of over 200,000 parts, from 400 top brands, you'll find exactly what you need, delivered fast from coast to coast. Need help with an order? Supply House offers expert support and industry-leading service, so you'll always talk to a real person. And for trade pros looking for an extra edge, their free Trade Master program offers exclusive perks like a dedicated phone line, free shipping, and discounts on every order. Thousands of skilled professionals are already taking advantage. Now it is your turn. And join the Trade Master program today at supplyhouse.com/TM and start ordering plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies with just a few clicks. Plus, use promo code SH5 for 5% off your first order. That's supplyhouse.com. Thank you all for making Locked On Nationals your first listen every single day, as we are free and available wherever you get your podcast. And if you guys haven't done so already, look us up over on YouTube, look up Locked On Nationals, and hit that subscriber button. So let's get into this. There is a battle for the fifth spot right now. It is really between Mitchell Parker and DJ Herz. I'm going to make my case for DJ Herz here. I already laid out some of the bad examples of him and really the lack of command early on this season. But Mitchell Parker is also not so innocent in a sense. And I think that Mitchell Parker, in my opinion, he is a good pitcher. If you were telling me that Mitchell Parker is going to be starting the season as your Washington Nationals fifth starter, I'd be okay with it. He is good. This is someone that I feel confident in, and I think you should feel confident in him as well. But the ceilings are completely different between DJ Herz and Mitchell Parker. I think the ceiling of Mitchell Parker is maybe a tad better than what you saw from this past season. I think his ceiling is a 3.9 ERA. He had a 4.29 this past season in 29 starts. It was really good. 151 innings pitched, a 1.3 whip, which is not terrible considering all things there. But DJ Herz is the better player. And DJ Herz has the higher ceiling. And if he does control his command just a little bit, this guy, DJ Herz, has the potential to be your second best starting pitcher this season. And you might be thinking to yourself, well, what about Jake Irvin? Jake Irvin is great. I mean, he has had an awesome spring training so far. But when you are talking about pure stuff, it's really not even that close. In fact, I would even go as far to say the best pitch that any Washington National has up to this point is DJ Herz's changeup. It has been effective. It has always been effective throughout his days, even with the Cubs back in the day and early on with the Washington Nationals. Like, this guy and his stuff, I don't really think it's talked about enough. Just how dirty and how nasty he is. The spin rate, the bat tracking, and also just all the breakdowns that you see from these analytical guys. DJ Herz checks all the boxes for the Washington Nationals. And this guy, in my opinion, should be your Washington Nationals fifth starter on opening day. And it's not even that close. Now, what about this? The starting rotation, as we look at it today, it is Mackenzie Gore, Jake Irvin, then you've got a mix of Trevor Williams, Michael Soroka, and then it's DJ Herz and or Mitchell Parker. Michael Soroka, while I'm not wishing for this, obviously, I think you understand that, Michael Soroka has had some injury history here. Trevor Williams coming off a little bit of an elbow issue from this past season. Jake Irvin, he has had Tommy John in the past. And Mackenzie Gore, he has had arm issues as well a few years back. It is totally possible that you see Mitchell Parker in this rotation. Because I still think today that Mitchell Parker does deserve to be in a starting rotation. It's just that we have a very crowded room up to this point here with the Nationals. And this is the best problem to have, by the way. This is not an issue whatsoever that people should be like, oh my God, this is awful. No, this is a great issue. So DJ Herz should be your fifth starter. And in my opinion, it really should not be up for discussion at this point. So what is the discussion then? What happens with Mitchell Parker? Well, if it were up to me, I would not even waste time with him in the bullpen. Don't even do it. Because I think that Parker is number one going to start at some point this season. He is. He's going to be in the rotation. Injuries will happen. Maybe guys like Soroka kind of just fumble the bag a little bit and don't really perform the way that we thought he could. Things are going to happen. And Mitchell Parker will be starting every 5 days at some point this season. But he should not be a bullpen piece at this point in time. Now, let's say we get through the year and Mitchell Parker is struggling in AAA and he comes up, makes a few starts, doesn't really look all too great. And it's very clear and obvious that DJ Herz is a starting pitcher and should be in the rotation moving forward. Okay, let's set that in stone there. What goes on with Mitchell Parker then? Then you try him out as a bullpen piece. Because in my opinion, the Nationals, in the really kind of the way that they are going to have to try to drive this car down this road, is they are going to have to try to find a way to use Mitchell Parker in the most effective way possible. Because he is a good pitcher. Again, talking about it, he's got another good kind of pitch mix, and in my opinion, probably a deeper one than DJ Herz. He's got a fastball that he uses roughly 50% of the time, solid curveball, a solid split, and then also a slider in there as well that he really used down the stretch for the Nationals in 2024. But you should not be giving up on Mitchell Parker. This guy very much so could be in the mix to be in the starting rotation right now, but also could be in the mix down the road if there are people struggling or if there are injuries, which will 100% happen at some point. It's baseball, man. Injuries happen. They pile up, and it's unfortunate, but that's just the name of the game. But next, let's preview Trevor Williams tomorrow and talk about some highlights over this last few days because CJ Abrams, that's the tease, CJ Abrams. We'll discuss that after we tell you about our friends over at FanDuel. And March Madness is here, everybody, and FanDuel is giving you the chance to get in on the action like never before. Right now, new FanDuel customers can get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. That's 200 extra bucks to use on everything from buzzer beaters to Cinderella stories and even who's cutting down the nets. I'm going to tell you this, George Mason, the Fairfax local college program here, I can tell you this, they are the hot team right now, and FanDuel makes it easy to back them with spreads, totals, and some game props as well. Maybe the Terps as well, as they get the Big Ten tournament started this weekend. You can bet on them and get some hometown teams to make a Cinderella run. And the FanDuel app is so simple to use, and when I win, I get paid instantly, and there's no waiting around. Even if those Terps take forever to win, you just will have your money right then and there. Like, bam, you get FanDuel money right like that. So thank you all, of course, for checking out FanDuel. And when you do, visit FanDuel.com and get in on the college hoops action all tournament long. Again, that is FanDuel.com. Thank you all for making Locked On Nationals your first listen every single day, as we are free and available wherever you get your podcast. And before we get into Trevor Williams here, I want to highlight CJ Abrams because I haven't really talked about it all too much. I still believe in CJ Abrams, but CJ Abrams was struggling to start out spring training. And welcome to the bigs, man. That's what happens. You're going to go through struggles, whether it's the beginning of the year, the end of the year, the middle of the year. It's going to happen. But yesterday, it felt as if Abrams kind of broke out of that. He went 3 for 3 for just really good baseball overall. And it felt as if he finally found his stride with the Washington Nationals yet again. He's kind of got his swagger back, if you know what I'm saying. And that is a big get for the Washington Nationals. Like, we've talked about this. I talked about this, I believe, last week here on Locked On Nationals. So if you missed it, go and check it out. But this Washington Nationals team will go as far as CJ Abrams will go. Meaning, if CJ Abrams is going to put up an all-star caliber season, I think the Nationals will probably be in the postseason race at some point this year. In putting it in simpler terms, I think CJ Abrams is the straw that's going to stir this drink. I think James Wood is going to be a star. I think Dylan Cruz will be a really good player. And I think that Abrams is probably the closest to really breaking out on the national scene. And if he does that, and he does kind of put up his first half numbers like he did this past year, then you have got yourself an all-star shortstop for decades, for hopefully decades, but probably another decade or so, or maybe he walks in free agency. Who knows at this point? But CJ Abrams going 3 for 3 yesterday. It's what you want to see. Hopefully he can build off that today on an off day and get into it with Trevor Williams that starts tomorrow against the Astros. And Trevor Williams is one of those guys at this point, the veteran that you want to see, you want to root for. He's coming back here in free agency, making his, third start of spring training to this date so far. So hopefully Trevor Williams can build off of a good 2024 season and have a good 2025 as well. But thank you all for making Locked On Nats your first listen every single day, as we are free and available wherever you get your podcasts. I will catch you on the flip side. Have a good one. Go Nats.